I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Blog Talk Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, Executive Producer of the Female Solution Radio Show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, bonjour. In Spain, hola. In Italy, ciao. In Egypt, ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, akwaba. In Nigeria, peleo. In South Africa, sawubona. In Senegal, nangadef. In Kenya, jambo. In Israel, shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network. Call 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
Yes, we do want to talk to you, especially today. And we appreciate you for joining us. And we'll be joining our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family after this brief message. So
We'll be right back. So we invite you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We want to hear from you in this particular discussion because our nation is in turmoil and we need to talk about it. And we want you to give your view because some people are afraid. And perhaps that fear is unfounded. And what should you do to keep yourself from being in a state of fear? We'll be right back. Stay with us.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating, empowering, interactive conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Gathering of the Griots with Asada. Wednesdays, Repairing Family Relationships with Naima and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Veggie Brunch Live with Angela. Fridays, Health and Well-Being with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Global Talks with Zana. Second Saturday, Walk in Your Divine Authority with Mama Joy. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. Fourth Saturday, be a judge on the virtual Teens, Tweens, and Tots Talent Contest. And fifth Saturday, join us on location as we conversate at the Elevate Cafe, owner Jackie Brooks. Sundays, join us 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Go to thefemalesolution.com to join us on our video or audio live streaming platforms. Listen at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in on the Blog Talk Radio Network 515-605-9325 or call in and comment on the On-Air Radio Network 727-731-5192. We want to hear from you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif. Join me and my co-host Kareem Hamid every Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the Female Solution Radio Show as we explore that relationship that is the foundation for our society, the relationship between men and women, husbands and wives. Join our discussion as we seek to repair broken family ties and rebuild our community. Listen online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in and comment 515-605-9325. Press 1 to feature our host. Or you can join us live on Facebook at www.facebook.com/the-female-solution.
And we are back, and we're joined with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family this morning. And we are so excited for this conversation because we know it's on the hearts and minds of people all across the nation. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Naima, praise be to Allah. I'm grateful to join you this morning on the Female Solution.
Yes.
I look forward to a very enlightening and inspirational broadcast this morning. Praise be to Almighty God Allah.
Well, we certainly do appreciate you and your wisdom that you share with us every Wednesday. Today, it takes a certain kind of wisdom to address what's a very sensitive topic. It's on the minds and hearts of many across our nation, and some people are openly expressing how they feel, and some are afraid to say, but all of us have been kind of jerked into a visceral sort of response at what appeared to be an assassination attempt by the former president, Donald Trump, and there were fatalities in that situation. And yet, there's something about the whole thing that makes us wonder, Was it all just a big show? Now, the sad thing about it is that, as I said, in this uh, event where we saw the president's ear bloodied, and the news media said that there was an attempt on his life and that a bullet uh, grazed his ear. And there are many who I spoke to in the military and people who regularly handle guns and people who have had jobs where their job was to take someone out. And generally, if someone is a sharpshooter, they don't miss. They don't nearly miss. They don't miss. And if somebody is an amateur, they probably end up doing more damage to innocent bystanders. But there is a very uncomfortable feeling and the idea that anyone would stage something and allow there to be fatalities involved for the sake of getting sympathy votes. That thought is horrific, but we want to explore it anyway. Because in this election, we're going to be manipulated in ways we've never been manipulated before. And what we want to do today is help people arm themselves emotionally against being manipulated into extreme responses, either internally, where you're always in a state of distress, or even externally, where you feel like you've got to be ready to fight physically because the nation is up in arms. There's nothing more powerful than thought. And when people can control your thoughts, they can control your actions. We have seen that over the past several years. When you raise people to a level of fear, they become irrational. And you can pretty much get them to do anything you want if they believe it's going to save their life, even if it isn't. So we want to talk about what we saw and what we heard and how we feel. And if our emotions are being manipulated in such a way that we're being set up to allow ourselves to be abused again. And we won't talk about that last time. But those who know understand. So I'm just going to throw the thought out there before we get into some details. And I'll pull up on the screen for those who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube some of the news reports that were widely circulated. And it was one of those things where you remember where you were when you heard it. Where were you sitting when the news came over the airways that there had been an attempt on the life of former President Donald Trump? A group of us were out. We were at a healing center out in the Barrington area in Illinois. And so we were in a mindset of emotional healing of the mind, body, and spirit. We'd been invited out there by our former one of our former hosts, Jody Susan, who's still doing healing work. And so we were all in a state of mind of let's bring peace to the planet. And then we get this news on the internet. And we see some of the early photos, and my first gut reaction, and I always say trust your gut reaction because that's usually the one that's uh, the truest reaction. My gut reaction was this was a situation created to cause panic, whether you were pro-Trump or not pro-Trump. It was designed to create a panic in people who are emotionally invested in the outcome of this election. Either feeling that, oh, there's going to be retaliation by the right wingers, or, oh, these left wingers are going to get violent now. It's just, that was my gut reaction, is that this is another thing to create fear and reaction so that people are not rational. But I'm going to ask you, Brother Kareem, when you first heard the news that there had been an assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, what was your initial reaction? Because you're somebody who's been around enough, you've lived through some real assassinations where people really did get shot and died. So, we know these things really do happen. And they do happen when people have intense political differences. So what was your initial response when you heard that news?
Yeah, I come from a storied history that is very significant in the United States of America. The assassination of President John F. Kennedy, it was televised. I know it shocked the nation. People were astounded. Prior to his assassination, I think it was another president, I think it was Garfield, that was shot and killed. Prior to him, I'm speaking of political personage. Abraham Lincoln was shot and was killed. So there seems to be a level of violence that I can't just say this nation, but the world has somewhat become normalized to violence. What crossed my mind was the statement that Malik el-Shabazz gave when he was questioned concerning the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. His initial statement was, the chickens have come home to roost. And although that may have been true, at that time, that statement should not have been made due to the sensitivity of the citizens of the United States. But what was alluded to in that statement is that this government have waged violence and war on other nations. They have overthrew governments. They have been involved in violent war. And other leaders of other countries have been assassinated at the behest of this government. So when Malcolm said the chickens have come home to roost, that is kind of like karma. What you do will return back to you. Now, have on record the ex-president, he incited violence. He alluded to there being a violent uprising in this country. And what we witnessed concerning the November, I think it was November the 6th, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me right.
January 6th.
Thank you, my sister. January the 6th, we saw the attempt to violently overthrow this government. And those that took part in that, there was a desire, they had plans to actually kill elected officials, even to take the life of the ex-vice president. So I'm not surprised at this here that a climate has been created of violent reaction to political situations and political circumstances. I'm totally against that, but these things happen. Until we know the real motive behind this young assassin that attempted to assassinate Donald Trump, we really don't know what was behind that. We really don't know what motivated this young man. So I'm waiting to hear what they will present as what motivated this young man. Whether that motivation is true or not, there's a motive behind everything and an intent. And we are aware of what we call a hidden hand that trigger people to do such acts as this here. I am opposed to violence on any level. So I reserve my judgment until we can get a clear picture of what motivated this young man. They have looked at his social media page. They find very little activity there. But at the same time, I'm not surprised because in the pastime of our children and us, there are so-called games, war games, that are very explicit. And some people spend hours involved in that pastime with these war games.
They do.
Your son can be sitting in his room, and an hour after hour, he's on those games, and it desensitizes. It desensitizes those that partake in that on the level of violence. They get so many points for so many kills, and we've been trying to look forward to war games.
Yes.
And military arms have been distributed among American citizens.
Yes.
I mean, military arms. So this is somewhat of, as I state, I'm not too surprised, but when you propagate violence, eventually that violence will return back to you. And it's not just this country. This is happening around the world.
This is
violent.
Absolutely.
So I'll stop right there. But that statement of chickens have come home to roost, that is what came across my mind when I saw this.
And
we are witnessing
yes.
real We're witnessing in real time the slaughter of Palestinians in occupied Palestine. We are witnessing that. Babies being blown apart, women being killed and maimed, whole neighborhoods bombed. I mean, just decimated. And we wonder uh, how could such an act occur that happened here with Donald Trump. So we have been desensitized to violence. And it seems as though, matter of fact, if you look at the true history of this country, it was predicated on violent overthrow.
Absolutely.
This nation, this country, Mr. Andrew, was populated by nations of indigenous people. And it was government policy to clear the land, like the government of occupied Palestine. They have an activity called mowing the lawn.
Oh, that's horrifying.
Periodically go out and mow the lawn.
That's horrifying.
Kill so many Palestinians. So we have to, I would say, don't become unsensitive to it. But there has to be answers. Where there is no dialogue, then this is what can happen. So that's my position on that we have been set up. We've been primed to look forward to a violent uprising in this country. And so, to me, that is the consequence of that type of rhetoric, that type of environment that has been created. And so I'll stop right there. I don't want to speculate too much, but I do know that we have been primed for violence occurring in this country.
Yes.
Between political parties. I'll stop right there.
And that's a very significant point that you make, even about the war games and the video games, the games on your computer where you get points for killing. And these were tools used to train the military. So turning them into sport, it does desensitize people, and we have seen the spike in violence and then the proliferation of guns. So it would seem like there is a nation out of control, out of its mind, and people can easily live in a state of fear and panic based on how often you keep hearing about shooting deaths. Now, the interesting thing about that, if you don't turn on the TV and you don't watch it on your computer and you don't bring it up on your cell phone, you will not be aware of how many shooting deaths are occurring, maybe right in your own city. And I don't know if you've ever, say, listened to those police radios where they're constantly telling what happened. I think I was somewhere where we were talking to a police officer. They were on duty and they were listening to their radio, and it's just every minute, there was this robbery and that shooting, and it's just constant. And you're just hearing it, horrified to know that this is going on, and it might be happening right in your midst. And if you hear it, you're going to feel anxiety because you can't feel safe if you're being made aware of all the acts of violence. But if you are not listening to it, if you're not watching the news, if you're not seeing it on your computer, if you're not looking at it on your cell phone, it's as if it doesn't exist. and you will not experience the anxiety of it, and you will not experience it. People think, well, I need to know what's going on so I can be safe. But just understanding how you experience something, you experience the effects of something, even when it isn't happening, will let you know how we get manipulated by the news media into living in a state of fear, even when we're not living in a war-torn country. We're not being shot at when we step outside our door. We're not being robbed every time we go to the supermarket. It's not happening to us, but it's happening to us emotionally because we're constantly being told about it. And we're choosing to seek out that information. So knowing that when there's an intention to put you in a state of fear in order to get you to agree to a level of control, knowing that this is the tactic that's used by governments all over the world, but certainly America has mastered it just as much as anyone else, then you realize that what you choose to listen to will affect your ability to reason. And instead of reacting with reason, you'll react with fear and agree to some kind of measure that's really not in your best interest. It's meant to control and even repress and oppress you, but you'll agree to it because you believe it's keeping you safe. So that was my first thought of what is it we're being set up to agree to allow based on the fear, no matter which side you're on, the fear that there's going to be either a violent overthrow attempt or some type of revolutionary action by those who are armed. And so therefore we must do something in order to protect our lives. What are we being set up to believe? Now, before we take a break, I want to just take a look at a news article that appeared. And this, of course, says Donald Trump's Secret Service protection under investigation following assassination attempt. The Secret Service is facing heightened scrutiny in the wake of the assassination attempt against former President Trump, in which the shooter was allowed to bring a rifle into a nearby rooftop in broad daylight. The FBI is investigating the Trump shooting as well as the home of Thomas Matthew Crooks. Okay, so this was the young man involved. And it says, this said fast facts. It says, former President Trump survived an assassination attempt that killed one of his supporters and wounded two others during a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th, 2024. The shooter has been identified as Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, and the FBI is investigating his specific motive. Corey Comparatore was fatally shot while two other victims, 57-year-old David Dutch of New Kensington, Pennsylvania, and 74-year-old James Haver of Moon Township, Pennsylvania, were both shot and are now in stable condition. Trump is now in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the Republican National Committee is meeting to formally nominate him for president, with Senator J.D. Vance, Republican from Ohio, as his running mate. So now this news report, of course, this was the news is covered by Chris Pandolfo, Elizabeth Pritchett, Greg Weiner, Bradford Betts, Jamie Joseph, Landon Meon, and Scott McDonald. These are the reporters that are attributed to providing this information, which when one reads that report, you think, well, is there some kind of breach of security in the White House? Is there some kind of security breach in the Republican Party? Are there people setting up the president to be assassinated? And does that mean, his supporters really need to rally around and make sure they scrutinize everybody or keep certain people away from him and all of that? And it was noticed that when it came to being credentialed for the Republican National Convention, a lot of the, I will say, non-Republican supporting media, or media that would be presumed were non-supporting of the Republican Party, whether they be ethnic, uh, of ethnic origin, of it's Hispanic or African American or Asian. Many of those were not allowed to be present at the Republican National Convention. It's exclusionary, more or less. And you can see that when you look at the crowd. And, our question is the impression being given, once again, these people are dangerous. These people need to be excluded, oppressed, repressed, whatever it is that the idea is being thrown out there, so that when the mistreatment happens, people will accept it. And we'll talk about that when we come back. And what do we anticipate is going to be the next thing that we're going to be expected to believe is happening? And what is the response that is hoped that thing will get from the public? We'll talk about that when we come back. What do you think? Give us a call, 515-605-9891 for the AM 360 line, 515-605-9325, or 727-731-5192. And of course, if you're watching us live on Facebook or YouTube, write in your comments and we will share them with our listening audience. And we'll be right back after this quick break. So we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We will be right back after this brief message. So just stay with us.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating, empowering, interactive conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Gathering of the Griots with Asada. Wednesdays, Repairing Family Relationships with Naima and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Veggie Brunch Live with Angela. Fridays, Health and Well-Being with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Global Talks with Zana. Second Saturday, Walk in Your Divine Authority with Mama Joy. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. Fourth Saturday, be a judge on the virtual Teens, Tweens, and Tots Talent Contest. And fifth Saturday, join us on location as we conversate at the Elevate Cafe, owner Jackie Brooks. Sundays, join us 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Go to thefemalesolution.com to join us on our video or audio live streaming platforms. Listen at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in on the Blog Talk Radio Network, 515-605-9325, or call in and comment on the On-Air Radio Network, 727-731-5192. We want to hear from you.
You're invited to talk trust at Earl's Garden Maze Kitchen on 6914 South Perry Avenue in Chicago from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, July 21st, 2024. It's time to rebuild understanding between students and teachers. Please call 630-426-9810 for more information or visit urbaneducoach.com.
And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And we want to hear from you. Give us a call. And of course, the numbers on the screen, if you're watching, 515-605-9325 or 515-605-9891. You can reach us on our on-air radio network, 727-731-5192, because we do want to hear from you. We've got some comments here on the screen, and okay, this looks like a Trump supporter says, well, they need to be able to spell his name. I think they wanted to say Trump, but they misspelled it Turp. It's coming back. Biden misspelled that. Bidne is done. Okay, well, this is what happens when you and that's from Jerry Album Israel. Okay, well, you might want to spell check before you put your comments up there, my dear friend. All the names misspelled, but hey, we know what your thought was, so there you go. And one of the things that we hear a lot, if you pay any attention, if you are constantly looking at statements on whether it's Twitter or any other social media, you see that there is an intense battle going on between those who are supportive of the Republican Party and those who are supportive of the Democratic Party. And it gets very emotional, and people even start threatening each other. And like you were saying, Kareem, the whole atmosphere of violence is charged, and we have seen what happens when there is violence in the atmosphere. And when you put forth violence, it does come back to you. But if you're minding your own business and these things are happening, what do you need to do to feel safe? Now, this is what I'm going to throw this thought out there for us to chew on. There are literally two earths that are coexisting right now. And you're either living in one or the other. And it doesn't matter where you are physically. Where you are spiritually will determine what you experience. You're either living in the old earth, where there is violence, chaos, fear, pain, hurt, destruction, or you're living in the new earth, where there is peace of mind, a sense of security because you are getting along with your neighbors, a feeling of abundance because you are able to acquire what you need for your survival. Even if you have to work a little hard to maintain things, you're not in a state of stress and panic. And this doesn't have to do with what your income level is, because there are people who are quite wealthy who are in a state of distress every single day and are having strokes and heart attacks because they are feeling fearful and insecure. So it's a state of being that determines what you experience. But the way you maintain that state of being is not to allow the destructive thoughts of others to invade your peace. This means knowing that you will not experience violence if you are not in that vibration by constantly ingesting it through the media. You will not experience it because you are not on that vibration. And I know people might say, no, that's not true, because see, things happen to innocent people. Yes, they do. But trust me, you experience it as if it's happening to you, even when it isn't happening to you, if you keep your mind focused on it. Just like if you're driving along a highway on a narrow pathway in the mountains, if you keep looking down at the edge where there's a long drop to the bottom, your car will end up going in that direction. So the key to experiencing peace in this time of turmoil is not to allow yourself to be bombarded with fear-based information to force you to react and then live in a state of anxiety. This is a very key thing for people to make a decision about, because you have the free will to decide where you're going to put your thoughts, where you're going to put your eyes and ears, what you're going to digest every day. There are all kinds of acts of kindness and goodness and love all around us. Which acts are you going to put your attention to? The ones that make you feel anxiety, or the ones that put you in a state of peace? It's a decision on what you want to experience, and people will manipulate you into making you always in a state of anxiety if you allow it. So I know we've got some callers that want to make a remark. You have any callers on your line that want to express a thought?
Yeah, I invite the listeners here on AM 360 to press one on your phone and share your thoughts with us concerning the assassination attempt on ex-President Donald Trump. What is your take on that? And what is the backdrop to that? We ask you to press one on your phone. Okay, we have someone that has pressed one on your phone. Want to open up their mic? Please state your name and where you're calling from. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Praise be to Allah. Alhamdulillah. You know, before the attempt was made, I just was, you know, this in my head, and I was just wondering. I say, why don't somebody kill Donald Trump? And because of the kind of person he is, you know. But knowing that we are not aggressive, Muslims, we're not aggressive in doing different things like that anyway. But just that thought that just came to my mind. So when the incident occurred, you know, I said, I like to see the results of it, you know. So the different people won't blame that kind of the heated thing going on between the Republicans and different things. But it stayed political. No matter how you were spinning it, still political. Because as I listened to Biden talk, I say, well, how Biden gonna be talking about him yesterday? Then this is an incident now it already changed. So it's a lot of hypocritical things that going on about that I feel that going on. A lot of hypocrisy just goes on inside that political arena. Now a lot of people not being honest and they not being truthful, you know, and that's basically my take on it. But for you know, persons, the fear of God and looking at a brighter future, working towards a brighter future, I see great things for the people of Scripture, you know, because of the coming together and seeing that this world will be better. So praise be to Allah for those who believe in God and still, you know, willing to work together and achieve things in life.
Well, thank you for your call. We appreciate you being willing to share your thoughts. I just want to throw this out there for people who have, and thank you so much. I just want to throw this thought out there for people who have intense feelings for or against either of the candidates. Everybody on this earth is just a human being. There are no demons. There are no devils. There are people who believe whatever they believe and they do what they do. Donald Trump did the best he could while he was president, because everybody does. Nobody gets in office and says, I'm going to ruin this nation. He did what he believes was the right thing to do based on the information that he has received and accepted about life and where he's vibrating as a soul, as a human being, what kind of information resonates with him and what he responds to, what he believes is reality. So he's doing the best he knows how. Joe Biden is doing the best he knows how, based on the information he has received and accepted, and where he's vibrating as a soul. What is he able to receive, and what is motivating his behavior? So both of them are just human beings. There's nothing that they can do to change your reality at all. And I know some people might say, oh, but they can pass laws, they can do that. They're just a human being. They cannot change your reality at all. And when you know that on a soul level, you don't get upset regardless of what they say out of their mouth. Because both of them, and you pointed this out, Kareem, you have nations that are supporting horrendous acts of war abroad, and the United States has supported horrendous acts of war abroad, no matter whether Republicans or Democrats are in office, because it's in the business interests of those who finance things. And so in a real sense, those people don't change no matter who's in office. So let us not be deceived about that. And we can get focused on, oh, this person is the horrible person, this person is the good person. And all of them are supporting horrible things if it's felt like it's in the financial interests of those who are profiting from this nation. So are we being manipulated into hating Donald Trump? Are we being manipulated into hating Joe Biden? Are we being manipulated into believing Joe Biden is going to be the savior of the world? Are we being manipulated into believing that the former President Trump is going to be the savior of the world? Neither of them. They're just human beings, and old human beings at that. And the reality is nothing that they do can change your reality. Let me take a caller. And I'm going to go to area code. I'm going to say 773-226 and then 111-111. And then, of course, the rest of you, hold on, we'll be with you right after that. 773-226. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your thoughts about the Trump assassination. Do you think it
Good morning. Good morning. This is Kofi James.
Yes. Okay.
The American, the one that debunks and try to get people to understand that when they call you African American, you become a slave. You become a mental slave. Okay. And I've got a lot of people understanding that we're not from Africa. The reason I say that and stick with that, we don't have a dog. We don't have a fight in none of this mess. Okay. We are viewed as property to these people, to the Democratic Party, to the Republican Party. Okay? Biden said, I think a week ago, Trump in a bullseye. Okay? He said, put Trump in a bullseye. Trump created that hoax. That's a hoax. You can go to Bitter, I think it's MAG, Bitter Truth, and he'll break it down out. That was a hoax.
So,
catch it on the field.
So let me ask you this question.
Hold on, let me finish. I know. Let me get a word in, because I know.
I mean, you said it's a hoax, but a person died. So do you think they're willing to put a hoax to that degree? What do you think?
I'm not tricked. I know everything is staged.
Okay.
For us to fall into, to create another civil war. Okay. Now, who's on both ends of the Civil War? You have heterosexual people, and then you have the LBGT, which is represented by the Democrats. And they have brought black people in this mess. I'm watching it. I'm not falling for it. Okay? I know I'm not no slave brought from Africa. I don't buy into that. I'm more intelligent than that to dishonor my ancestors who are from Mississippi and Arkansas
just totally forget about them and say I'm from Africa. My ancestors will whoop my butt every day. You understand? You ain't gonna make it. I already talked to Dorothy Silverman. She said, you don't buy into this. I said, no. My ancestors will beat my butt. I ain't no fool. I'm highly intelligent.
So let me ask you this last question before I take the next caller. Because there are those who believe, as you believe, that the whole thing was staged, a hoax, et cetera, et cetera. But there was a person who actually died. So
how you know that? Did you see their body?
Well, you know, it's kind of hard to lie about that, and nobody blow the whistle and say that person is alive.
I'm giving you the fact. Did you see their bodies? No. Even people in the back, when the shots rang out, the cameras came out. Go look at it again.
Okay, so the name that they gave, do you think that's a fake name?
The cameras, like you said, the cameraman doesn't die. All these cameras start coming towards the front, filming it while the shots was going on.
Okay, so do you think they could give a name of a person that would be a fake name that doesn't exist, or they could say someone died that didn't die, and no one? I mean, you'd have to. And I'm not saying what you're saying is not true. I haven't gone to the funeral of this person.
It's all scripted. And this guy said, "Oh, the shooter wore my shirt." He was actually stopped by a police officer going to the rally.
Okay, so
he was on top of had a clear shot. He's standing on the top of the roof.
Mm-hmm.
The police went up there and saw him and they ran. It's all shit. People believe what you see instead of critiquing it first.
Okay. All right. Well.
Okay. I'm saying that the slow people, they get it later.
Mm.
The intelligent people, we don't buy into it. The slow people, they get it. That's what my mama told me. She said, "Boy, you highly intelligent." She said, "Let people catch up because they're a little slow." So y'all stay slow. I know what's going on. I'm not buying into this. I'm not buying. I'm telling my son not to sign up for the military. Okay, I don't buy into none of this. I walk in peace in my land in America. Now you can do what you want to do. I'm fine because this is my ancestors' country.
Okay, well, hold that thought right there. We're gonna take one more caller before we take a break. Got to take another caller before we take a break. I got your point. I'm gonna try to squeeze another caller in before we take a break, and then we'll come back and go back on the switchboard.
Thank you.
Area code. Okay, so I know that you have been a Trump supporter. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm very grateful to you for the profound, wise words of wisdom that you said just now, as relates to there being two earths. You know, I keep going back and forth in terms of being my earthly self and my spiritual self with these people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I thank God, Almighty God, Allah, that my president, Donald J. Trump, survived this assassination attempt. And it's like Revelation chapter 13, verse 3, where it speaks of how the Antichrist is going to be, injured in the head, O sacred head now wounded, but not fatally. And I hope that this is the extent of that fulfillment of Bible prophecy. I wasn't at all surprised that my president, Donald J. Trump, was shot in the head this past Saturday. But I thank God that it wasn't nearly as serious as it very easily could have been. Almighty God, Allah, who appeared in the person of Master W. Fard, Muhammad, long-awaited Messiah of Judeo-Christians, and the Mahdi of the Muslims, you can take it or let it alone, saved Donald Trump's life for a divine purpose. And my divine mission is part and parcel with his. Point number 4, what the Muslims want, reparations for Asiatic, indigenous, Native American descendants of chattel slavery and Native genocide, is what I'm doing as a natural matter of course. We do what we are rather than are what we do.
Okay.
And
All right. Well,
I hope that you can accompany me to Milwaukee to the Republican National Convention on tomorrow evening and possibly meet my President Donald J. Trump.
well, I wish you well in that journey. Of course, I do have other things that I'm going to be doing with my time, but I do appreciate your consistency in your support. And there are going to be those who will, as you have done, see his being shot in the head is somehow connected with the biblical prophecies. And this is why when we look at things, we have to see, are we being manipulated? And those who are seeing into this something that's going to affect their lives, they will create situations based on what they believe. We got to take another break on the screen here, and we'll come back and talk about this. You mentioned the Republican National Convention. Donald Trump came with a big bandage on his ear, and I believe they said some people had bandages on their ears in support of him in solidarity, and we'll talk about that. The likelihood of someone getting just grazed in the ear by a bullet. We'll be right back after this quick break, and we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We've asked a question about the Trump assassination attempt. Was it all just a big show? And we'll come back to your switchboard after the break. So, of course, we want you all to just stay with us.
Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
And in case you didn't notice the resemblance, we're also three sisters.
We're going to be coming to you every week, sharing our successes and our mistakes as we navigate our lives as moms, wives, sisters, daughters, and of course, Black women in today's world.
We'll talk about it all: race, politics, religion, economics, culture, and we'll take a look at everything from whether or not to use corporal punishment to how do you teach your children about sex.
Look for our upcoming book, Growing Up Charles. It's a personal story about our lives growing up in Maple Park on Chicago's South Side. I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Three Black Moms.
You're invited to talk trust at Earl's Garden Maze Kitchen on 6914 South Perry Avenue in Chicago from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, July 21st, 2024. It's time to rebuild understanding between students and teachers. Please call 630-426-9810 for more information or visit urbaneducoach.com.
And we are back. You are listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. And I'm Naima Latif with all our co-hosts Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family. And we are asking the question today, a very painful question, as the nation looks at what appears to be another assassination attempt of a public figure. And there are many who are responding with intensity of fear, some with anger, some relief that he's, as they say, survived, and some with extreme skepticism. The former president is known for his showmanship. And those who have been, now this 20-year-old who it's said is killed, isn't known to be a military sharpshooter, in my understanding. They don't miss. And of course, we read earlier there are questions about Secret Service, how trustworthy are they, and all these other kinds of things that are being put forth. We've had some callers that had statements, their opinions. And here on the screen, I've shown the Republican convention in Wisconsin, where Donald Trump appears with a bandaged ear and names Vance as his running mate. And people are saying, oh, his running mate is his extreme conservative. Our fears, first of all, I want to throw a couple of responses to some of our previous callers. And, of course, I'll open the mics for the next caller. One of the things that we get sucked into is labeling Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal, et cetera, et cetera. Treating people right doesn't require a label, but people have different views as to what's the right thing to do. And it's easy to demonize either group. And once again, it's the manipulation of your emotions that keeps you from thinking clearly and planning your own life so that no matter who is in the White House, you are at peace. That's the challenge today. To not get sucked into a theater in which you are going to be jerked around and kept in a state of anxiety when it's not necessary. Because your day-to-day life is not affected by either of those individuals. We'll talk about that some more. Let me take some calls. And for those who are looking on the screen, of course, you see the photographs of the bandaged ear and the one of the things that people are being manipulated into responding to is the idea that he was hit in the ear and there was blood seen, and so now people feel like, okay, this is a real thing that happened, we're in danger. And the far right people are perhaps being manipulated into believing that they must then get ready for violence and stockpile weapons and all that other thing that they've been doing because they've been manipulated into fear. So let me take a caller and get your response. Again, you can reach us 515-605-9325, 515-605-9891. Let me go to area code 111-111. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your comments about the Trump assassination attempt. Your opinion, was it all just a show? What do you think? 111-111, unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Give us your name, where you're calling from, and your comments. Okay.
Yeah, it's Joe from Montana.
Joe from Montana. Okay.
I saw the headline of your show.
Yes, sir.
And you're asking if the assassination attempt was a show. So I called in to find out if you believe there was a psyop. Do you believe it's a psyop?
Well, one of the things that I did in preparing for this show is talk to people that I know that are in the military, that have been sharpshooters, that have perhaps had the job in the military of, taking out a human being, a target, they will call them. They don't miss. Now, if you get somebody who's an amateur on a rooftop, their shooting is so bad, they're going to hit a whole bunch of other people. So either you have somebody who's really good and doesn't miss, or somebody who's really bad and injures a whole lot of other people. Now, there were other people who were shot. And as a person in the media that has covered, president, vice president, first lady, several administrations, I know the level of security that goes into anybody's appearance. There isn't any way a person would be able to be on a rooftop and it not be detected. I mean, there are drones all over the place, seeing tops of buildings. The level of
yeah, and they also said that they saw him about 30 minutes before, and they called in for help. I read that.
This doesn't happen.
The guy was a 20-year-old. So I don't think he was a professional sniper.
No, he wasn't a professional.
No. And you had asked a question before. Somebody supposedly died. Now, if the fire chief died, then we should know if he actually died or not. That may or may not be fake. So again, my question to you is, do you personally believe that it was a psyop? And if you do, what happened to the body of the fire chief?
And our previous caller raised that question, because I have not personally been to anybody's funeral to see a body. I believe that 99% of everything we are seeing and hearing on the mass media is fake and designed to manipulate our emotions because we are gullible. And it could be that this person was allowed to be on this rooftop and commit this act for the purpose of creating this drama. And this person may not have been killed or may not have known they were going to be killed. I watched the Godfather. I'm just going to throw this out there. I watched the Godfather, and it was talked about how you can kill anybody. They were trying to kill Michael Corleone's enemy that had set him up to be assassinated, and and they managed to kill him, and then they killed the guy that they had hired to kill him. Which you don't know, where do you find people that are willing to assassinate somebody. Same thing with Jack Ruby and all that. So it's
I
like,
understand that in today's technology, it's possible that it was a psyop. I'm asking you, because you're asking people, if they are being manipulated by the media, or if they think the assassination attempt was an actual attempt or not. So I'm just asking you, do you think that it was a psyop?
I don't know. And explain to people who don't know what a psyop is, so they'll know what we're referring to.
A psyop is a theatrical type of setting where what people see isn't really what they've seen. It's all been manipulated. It's all staged. So, was Trump hit in the air, or was he prepared for this particular type of arrangement, whereby it appeared that he got hit, and then he got either blood and put it on his ear by a bandage, or was he really hit? So again, the question is, do you believe it was a psyop, or do you believe it was a real assassination attempt, despite the fact that the guy was 20 years old, and that he was supposedly seen and supposedly taken care of prior to his supposedly firing the bullet?
Well, a friend of mine in the military was showing how you could the way Donald Trump's hand was, how he grabbed the ear, and it was explaining how you could have like a little razor blade in your hand and cut your ear, so that could have been real blood. I mean, he was explaining how it could have been done, and even the reaction of gunshots and all of that. So there are several different things that could have happened that would make it a psyop, make it something that was staged, and then also you have
It's just a simple yes or no.
you have people
Good
who
God Almighty.
well, I'm going through all of the possibilities, because you have young people that are also very zealous and could have been hired to do this, not knowing they were going to be killed, or they could have not been killed. I haven't seen a body. But in terms of, was it real? What do I believe? Like I say, I believe that 99% of what we see is staged.
Robert Floyd Plump.
And Robert Floyd Plump, please mute your phone until we get to you. Please mute your phone. Thank you. And so when I saw this, I said either the whole thing was fake, or it happened and those who planned it also were willing to sacrifice some real lives in order for this to happen. Either way, it's pretty horrific, whether people really died or didn't die. And I believe people really did die, which means if anybody would plan this, how far would they go to manipulate the minds of the public? Would it also include allowing people to die in this process of manipulating our emotions? And we have a history. We talked about this earlier. I don't know if it follows from the beginning, but we have a history of this nation killing people, appearing to kill people, staging things. And The Godfather was a real revelation of what actually happens behind the scenes, because people in governments do set up people for assassination, and they do create theater that manipulates the emotions of people, making them believe things happen. So I believe nothing that I see. I think all things are laced with the intention to manipulate, because I keep seeing us fall for it. And so I feel badly for any of the families involved where people lost lives, but I also know that those in power are not above allowing that to happen for the ultimate agenda of control, whether it be lying about a virus, getting people into hysterics so they would agree to take a shot that has its own agenda behind it. Everything that we see happening at this point, I see, is manipulation. So I guess the long answer to your question is a yes. What do you believe? And I think he's listening online. We're going to go to area code 773-450 and get your thoughts.
Grand Rising, the long greeting to all. First of all, it could have been phony, but it's probably not. It doesn't matter technically because once it's a so-called assassination attempt, Trump's probably gonna want a hand down. Imagine his opponent is somebody can't even get the wording right, and folks are still trying to ignore that. Who gonna vote for somebody that can't think? We know what dementia is, and we know what Alzheimer's is, and we know when it progresses. You have family members that go through that. How you gonna have a man running the country that don't know what he's doing? So it doesn't matter what people think. That's the dilemma. What's your choice? You have one or the other. Third parties don't even count in this society. So it's Democrats and Republicans. So once the Democratic candidate, they're pulling money out, the ones that are funding them don't even want to pick them no more. Everybody else can lie, but what's going to happen at the end? At the end, Trump will win. I don't have a dog in the fight. I personally don't care because that's not going to make anything going to get any better for us one way or the other unless we fight for it. But yeah, it wasn't phony. It wasn't staged. And even if it was to his advantage. And everybody fell for it. So there you go.
So
here's another.
So your thought, brother, your thought is that it was not staged, but it was to Donald Trump's advantage to have happened because now his supporters are more enthusiastically going to work for his election, and he might even get some sympathy votes from people who may have been on the fence. Is that your thought?
Well, the reality is that he really wasn't here in the lead anyway. Why do you think the Democrats are so desperate? The people don't want Kamala Harris. They really don't want Joe Biden. So what are the Democrats going to do? They don't have a choice. They're going to run a man that everybody knows he can't think. And he's going to say he's just fine and lie. The average person's not going to vote for that. So what other choice do you have? In America, it's Republican or it's Democrat. Get ready for Trump. It can't be any worse than 4 years under Joe Biden. He's for the Israelis and all this other stuff. I mean, how has it been beneficial to us? No, all they do is give us Juneteenth, no reparations. Man, come on. They can fool us and let us walk them in every time. What do we get for our vote? And until that changes, what are you voting for? But lastly, Naima, in this society, it's really kind of ironic because there's nothing truthful about anything in this society at all. Religion is a lie.
That's kind of the point.
History is a lie. So what's left? I'm just telling you, in this society, what would you believe in? If you can rise to a higher level of consciousness, are you going to be satisfied with watching all this violence on TV and then watching it perpetrate on the street?
Well, that's the point that I hope we learn something from. And what you've said about President Joe Biden, he is aging, and we got to look at ourselves. If the best we can do in selecting leadership is two old men who probably need to be taking care of their grandchildren as their first priority. And I mean, I'm not disparaging President Biden. I know, like I said, he's doing his best, just like if President Trump got elected, he would do his best based on who he is. They can only be who they are. But neither of them affect your reality day to day. If, like you just said, Obadiah, If people are living at a higher state of consciousness, there's nothing stopping them from being kind to their neighbors, from sharing with their neighbors, from organizing their resources and sharing with their neighbors, for taking whatever property they have and access to soil and water and growing their own food. And nothing is stopping them from sharing their knowledge so they can help their neighbors to make sure that the children are getting adequate care and preparation for adulthood. Nothing is stopping us from forming our own schools if we don't like what's being taught in the public schools. Nothing is stopping us at this point with the tools we have in our hands. Nothing is stopping anyone from forming their own small communities and surviving.
That's all it takes is unity.
Absolutely.
Even a few dollars. I have said that for years. If we just took $100 a week each, just 10 or 20 of us, we have millions of dollars. But nobody even can trust each other to throw money in a pool. They don't trust each other. So I guess I'll just be me and by myself because don't nobody want to get in on it. I mean, but I'm just saying we should pool money.
Well, let me ask you this question.
I just want to leave you with this one, though.
Yes.
Because see, society goes through all these curves. I've always told people, and it didn't matter if you were black, I say, you should be an expert in whatever you do. And when you're an expert, the big boys come after you because of what you know. Knowledge just trumps everything. I work for Apple because Apple sent me a Mac saying, we want you to work for us because of what I've been known in computers for 50 years. They knew it. I don't have to go around saying it. That's what I mean for top. I'm almost 70 years old. You know, the federal government wants to hire me for border patrol.
Hey.
I got all they want because I have the skills at my age. But they would hire me because of what I know. So I don't have to go around guessing anything. If you make yourself of a consequence, they will come to you because they know what you know. All the other stuff doesn't matter. So if you play around claiming being a minority and all this other stuff that people title you, that's exactly what you're going to be. But see, when you're a leader and you're a trailblazer, you cut the road. Why should you follow anyone?
So let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question before we go to the last break.
Sure.
You have knowledge that is very empowering and very necessary. And you mentioned unity and sharing and pooling money. Would you be willing to participate in a system in which, for the exchange of the knowledge that you share with young people and empowering them to know what you know, to have all of your needs taken care of in terms of your food, your clothing, your shelter, basics, your basic needs, rather than have to pay money for it, it's exchanged for your knowledge that you're giving to young people and empowering them to then therefore give their services in exchange for what they need.
It's free information. You could be rich off opinion. Did you know that?
Absolutely.
Nobody has no value. They always talk about money, but they don't have a brain to think.
Well, that's
out what you're going to do.
Well, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point. If
on your side, then you can get it done.
Absolutely. So the whole point is that no matter what these people are doing, there is nothing stopping us from creating a whole new system with people who have like minds, who are willing to cooperate, willing to organize, willing to share, and ignoring them. And trust me, if you ignore them, they will not exist in your world. And so they cannot keep jerking your chain, getting you upset and fearful, because you're literally living in a whole different dimension of life. And you will not experience any of that.
Program on right now, and I'm not listening to network news or none of that. It's the same time.
There you go. Absolutely.
Morning news, and I skip right over it. If you create a program, here we are.
That's the point. That's why we're here. So that's why we're here. For those who are ready for an alternative experience.
$100 a week so we can make $1 million in about 6 months.
Well, how about creating a whole different monetary system so that you don't have to worry about it? You just get what you need. Bypass the money, just get what you need.
Well, you have to have the money in the society.
No, you don't. Money is what you choose it. Money is what you agree that it is.
Well,
So,
it's worship money. You can't get food if I don't walk in and pay for it.
or you can grow it yourself. Well, we'll talk about that when we come back.
Oh, we got solutions. Hallelujah.
Absolutely. It starts with freeing your mind from the manipulation. Our previous callers have given their opinion about what they believe happened, but our job as people who we believe ourselves to be of higher consciousness is to not fall for the manipulation that puts us in fear, whether Donald Trump is elected, whether Joe Biden is elected. Have control of your mind. Have your own game plan. Have your own system of survival, and it won't matter. It won't matter.
Right.
Because they cannot.
Creating a new paradigm.
Absolutely.
The one they're going with is on its way out. Didn't you know that?
That's exactly why they're fighting so hard to keep you in a state of fear. Absolutely.
And those that know it aren't following.
Aren't falling for it.
We have a new plan for the next dimension. And it's not chasing money or none of that. It's about unity. It's called we, us, and our.
Absolutely.
If you want to join in on that, do that. Otherwise, it's me, mine, I ain't going nowhere.
Absolutely. I totally agree. We got to take one last break. Yep, you are right. I agree. We got to take one last break, and then we'll come back and take our last callers. And Brother Kareem, if you got callers on your line, we certainly want to hear from them. We just want people to leave this show without fear of who's going to get elected, of what's going to happen to your job, your finances, your home. Understand that you have the power to create your own reality, regardless of what else happens. And the only thing that keeps you from doing that is the manipulation of your mind that you're allowing by ingesting what you see and hear on mass media that has an agenda to keep you in a state of fear. Was the attempt real? Look at all the steps necessary to get to that point where you can actually shoot at a public figure. Think about it. We'll be right back after this quick break, and we want you to stick and stay. Don't stray away. Feel free to write in your comments, those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube, and feel free to call in 515-605-9325, 515-605-9891, 515-605-9325, 515-605-9891, or you can call us on our on-air radio network, 727-731-5192, because we want to hear from you. We'll be right back after this last break, so stay with us. The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating, empowering, interactive conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Gathering of the Griots with Asada. Wednesdays, Repairing Family Relationships with Naima and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Veggie Brunch Live with Angela. Fridays, Health and Well-Being with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Global Talks with Zana. Second Saturday, Walk in Your Divine Authority with Mama Joy. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. Fourth Saturday, be a judge on the virtual Teens, Tweens, and Tots Talent Contest. And fifth Saturday, join us on location as we conversate at the Elevate Cafe, owner Jackie Brooks. Sundays, join us 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Go to thefemalesolution.com to join us on our video or audio live streaming platforms.
Listen at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in on the Blog Talk Radio Network 515-605-9325 or call in and comment on the On-Air Radio Network 727-731-5192. We want to hear from you.
You're invited to talk trust at Earl's Garden Maze Kitchen on 6914 South Perry Avenue in Chicago from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, July 21st, 2024. It's time to rebuild understanding between students and teachers. Please call 630-426-9810 for more information or visit urbaneducoach.com.
And we are back. And we are back. You're listening to and watching the Female Solution Global Radio TV show. I'm Naima Latif, along with our co-host Kareem Hamid and our American Muslim 360 family.
Unmuted.
And we are grateful that you have joined us today for this discussion because the nation is in uproar and distressed and afraid and angry and anxious and distrustful and believing that we're enemies of each other, and we're being manipulated. We're being manipulated. And that's the bottom line. And so what we want to do is help us reach a state of mind of peace, regardless of what other drama appears in our midst, on our TV screens, on our computer screens, on our cell phones. Let us realize that the bottom line is that no matter who is elected, your state of being can still be one of inner peace. Nothing is stopping anyone from organizing with their local block, community, church, mosque, fraternity, sorority, whatever group of people are of like mind, and choosing to be economic support, choosing to interact, choosing to exchange, to share, to create systems of organization to educate children in what they need to know, to share skills, life skills, such as building skills, automotive skills, computer skills, things that you need to function and sustain yourselves, food growing skills. There's nothing stopping us from organizing small community groups that work together, no matter who is in the White House. Nobody's stopping us from doing that. But if our attention is diverted and we're raised to a level of panic, wondering what the other people are going to do, whether you call them conservatives, whether you call them liberals, no matter what you label the other, and you're made to believe that they're endangering your life, you will focus on that and experience it even when it's not happening. So this is designed to free your mind from being manipulated and focus on your own plan. We got all kinds of plans. Well, there's the 2025 plan. There's this plan. There's that plan. What about the plan that we have? We just played a commercial from a group, and of course they were on last week on our Tuesday Host Asada show. Basically empowering people to create a system of education in which we empower our students to be the leaders, the organizers, the planners, the executors of programs and systems that serve the needs of the people. And we can do that without asking anybody else's permission because we already have the knowledge. So why are we allowing ourselves to be jerked around and put in a state of fear because of theater? And all politics is theater, designed to get you to respond in fear. Yes. So do you have comments or callers on your line? I think we've got another caller on our line that hasn't spoken yet. Go right ahead.
I see no one on this line, and I invite them to press one on their phone. But I have a short statement to make.
Absolutely.
There are people that are conscious. They're conscious. They're not dream walking. They're not living in fantasy. And the moral compass of this country. If Donald Trump had been killed, there is a possibility that that would have sparked great civil unrest. And based upon the civil unrest, martial law would have been declared, and the Constitution would have been suspended. We have heard rumblings of dictatorships denying certain rights that we've all become accustomed to. But we need to look at the morality of this country, our moral compass as citizens, to uphold that which is right, and not just lulled to sleep and think that might makes right. This Constitution is a document upon which the nation base its foundation on. And we find certain words that's in the preamble of the Bill of Rights, that all men are created equal and endowed by their creator. That is an acknowledgement of a creator, of God, with certain inalienable rights that no human being can give them. And among those rights is the right to life, liberty, and the ability to own property, which is translated as pursuit of happiness. At the Republican convention, they got blindsided. They were shocked. I saw the look on Trump's face when the keynote speaker was addressing the convention. He is head of the Teamsters Union, and he did not endorse Donald Trump as president. He did not favor Republicans nor Democrats. His statement was that we are under siege from corporate America. From corporate America. They give tax breaks to the rich and increase the tax burden on the poor. We don't have money to solve homelessness. Our educational system is in shambles. But we can find money now to fund the military-industrial complex. We can come up with billions to supply arms that kill people. The arms industry is they are really making a killing. And I mean that in any way you take that.
Oh, absolutely.
There are huge profits being made. So, but we need to, as a nation, look at our moral compass, our ability to adhere to what is right and what is wrong. That's not a gray area, you know. So, matter of fact, this system of government we have is identified as an experiment. It is an experiment to see can the individual govern themselves without a king or someone dictating to them. Can the human being operate at that level whereby he can govern themselves?
That's what it's all
But
about.
when we look at the moral compass in America, we are failing in tremendous measure on the moral compass. On the moral compass, I'm enthused by the response of the American public, those that get the true news as to what is occurring in Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Palestinian crisis, but also the crisis that is happening in this country. There are plans to trigger a civil war in this country.
Well, you know,
had Donald Trump been killed, then I believe there would have been somewhat of a reason to suspend the Constitution and move on our God-given rights.
well, now
Let us look inside of ourselves.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, my
Sorry, I'm sorry. Just going to point out what you said about the arms sales making a killing. And whenever there is fear triggered in the minds of people, gun sales go up. So if we can simply look at who benefits from whatever happens, then we can probably discover the hand of the manipulator. Who is benefiting from the fear that's created by the appearance of an assassination attempt on a former president? And like you said, if there had been an actual assassination, there would have possibly been people who overreacted and attempted some type of violent action. And then you have the reaction of martial law. So the way things happen, first there is fear created, and then there is a reaction, which then empowers those who want to keep control to exercise means of control. We see this happen all the time. We saw it happen with our healthcare system. And we saw people hyped up to levels of fear, and then they allowed measures that were not in their best interest, but they believed there were. So this is the same kind of situation. If you're believing that other people are going to attack you because they're irrational or they're erratic, whether you believe the conservative so-called people are going to be violent, or you believe the so-called liberal people are going to be violent. If you believe that based on what you're told in the news media, then when the government chooses to enact martial law, you will agree to it, believing that it's going to keep you safe. So what you just said is, in fact, what we're seeing ourselves being set up for. And this is why we have to be wise and decipher what is the hidden agenda whenever we're told something that makes us react with fear. What is the next step that we're being prepared to accept? And this is why, rather than believe there's all these people that are our enemies, we have to know that they're not. They are people who are allowing themselves to be manipulated. I believe Brother Obadiah said, and you said also about there are some people who are conscious and they know that no matter what happens, they are self-managed. So they don't have to worry about somebody else controlling them. There are other people who are unconscious and they're constantly being manipulated by being provoked to fear other people who think differently than them. And they're worried about other people who stockpiling weapons. Other people are going to start shooting other people, or then after I have to do this, or I have to allow the government to control everything. Otherwise, these people are going to attack me. Manipulation. We have to be wise enough not to allow it, no matter which party gets in office, because both of them would do it. And we have to know that so that we, the conscious, can be putting out information on our shows, our podcasts, our TV shows, our radio shows that counteracts that fear-based thinking. We can be putting out the news of people who are doing good things, people who don't like these, the people who are organizing the educators, people who are organizing businesses, people who are organizing farming programs, people who are organizing teaching programs, people who are doing things that create a better society. That's the news, not the nut jobs that are running around trying to make people afraid and think they got to stockpile weapons. The people who know that there are people who are building a better society, that's the news that we have to keep promoting, because there's more of them than there are the people who are out of control, out of self-management, not more based on ethics and values and sensitivity to other people. There are more people who are conscious than are unconscious, but the people who are choosing to put forth information in the news media know that the unconscious will focus their attention on the negative and be manipulated by it. You have the power to choose what you're going to watch.
Here.
So let's take that caller, and then we'll take, and then we got 773-690 and 312-882 on our line. So we'll take your caller, and then we'll come back to this line.
Okay. All right, area code 727-741. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Martha Nyla Abdullah calling from Pittsburgh, Florida. And greetings of peace to everyone.
The Female Solution, Global Radio TV. Sorry.
And all the listeners. I'm Martha. I'm going to share it in this way. The first thing that comes to my mind is the sun is still shining, the air is still around us, the grass is growing, the waters are still here, and then the human being. The first thing that we do is we're directed to seek refuge with the creator of all of that and us and everything that we see and don't see otherwise. So I'm referencing seeking refuge with the Almighty, and the direction will come as we continue in our daily lives. But we cannot forget that there's that enemy aspect to take away the peace. So that means that we have to be mindful of the local actions and how those local actions are secured for the benefit of everyone. And then those who may be lurking to take over the country, that's to those minds that can see and understand that manipulative process. And I'll stop right there. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you so much, Sister Martha Nyla Abdullah. We appreciate you. You know, this article that we pulled up on screen here from Milwaukee, reported by Reuters. It says Donald Trump made a triumphant entrance during the first night of the Republican National Convention on Monday, receiving a raucous ovation from the party faithful 2 days after a would-be assassin's bullet grazed his right ear. Trump walked into the Pfizer Forum in downtown Milwaukee with a thick bandage over the ear as the crowd chanted, "Fight, fight, fight!" and pumped their fist, a reference to his reaction in the moments after he was wounded. And then it says the former president mouthed the words "thank you" and settled into a box with some of his children and U.S. Senator J.D. Vance, Trump's choice for running mate, announced earlier that day. Now, of course, being told that a crowd is going fight, 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 what response does that give to people who fear his election? Again, what are we being manipulated into responding to and fearing so that we are not seeing the hidden hand? You know, magicians use sleight of hand to get you focused on one thing and then they're really doing something else. So people seeing that, you know, being afraid, worried, angry, you know, like you said earlier, they would be easier to submit to some type of tactic of martial law if they're believing that the other people are dangerous. That's what this whole manipulation is about. So let me,
You know, Naima,
yes,
at the Republican convention, as I said earlier, they were blindsided by the president of the Teamsters Union,
who said something totally different. Right.
Yes,
Right. He was not with the party line. Right.
No.
Right.
He identified who is running this thing.
Right.
Corporate America have purchased our representatives. They have funded their campaigns and they own them. Corporate America has taken over the United States of America.
That was the revelation, because that's the reality, and that's what's behind all of this. And it doesn't matter which party. We have to know that this is the hidden agenda. And somehow, you know, well, you know, Sister Martha said, you know, the creator, control of all things. Somehow that message got out. Even in that arena, the truth of the matter got out. The fact that we're all being manipulated by corporate America. And this is what the conscious people have to be awakened to. And rather being manipulated, they have to have their own plan of action that can be enacted no matter who is elected, because we have the power to create. And we should not be living in fear, but we should be wise and know the hidden hand behind all of this, which was revealed, as you said, when he said corporate America. That's what's happening. Who's getting paid whenever we make these decisions that are based in fear? Let me, we got a minute or so. I'm going to go to 312-882. Give us your name, where you're calling from. You got about 30 seconds. What are your thoughts about the Trump assassination attempt? Was it all just a big show? Was it real? And what should we be focused on instead? What are your thoughts?
Way on Yashalom, Mahua, we don't die, we multiply like power forever and ever and ever. Assalamu alaikum. This is Minister Robert Floyd Plump, Chicago, Illinois. And I think that, you know, that was a fact. You know, we got to deal with the truth, no matter what, as far as the parties, but we can promote unity in the community. Brother Obadiah, I want you to get in touch with me at this number here, 312-882-5935. And I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking that stand. Also, we're gonna see if we can squeeze in one more caller before we go. We got about 30 seconds. Thanks so much, Minister Plump. Always promoting unity. Area code 773-690. You got about 30 seconds. If you got a comment to make, go right ahead. 773-690. Your mic is open. You got them. 773-690. Yes, you got about 20 seconds now before we go. Go right ahead.
Oh, Grand Rising, I'm calling because we're trying to do something for the indigenous
60 seconds.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll get you. We got to go, but we'll get you on to talk about it, so you can talk about it further on the show, give you more time to give us more details on that. We thank you for calling in. We'll make sure we can give you some time to give us the whole rundown, because like we say, people who are doing positive things, that's what we want to focus on. and remind people that there are more people doing good than doing not good. Thank you so much, as always, for being a wonderful co-host, Kareem Hamid. Thank you for all of those who are watching. And we had a comment I wanted to share. Our Monday Morning Mindfulness host Zelda says, Grand Rising, Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles could see through this foolishness. I do agree. Thank you so much. And until tomorrow, you join us for Veggie Brunch Live. Until that time, remember to shine your light.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.